What is up, my friends? How are we? It is another late night agenda, and it is a pleasure to be here with you all, as always. There is a lot for us to go through tonight. We're going to be speaking about Troy Deeney, and while he can shut the hell up, we're also going to be speaking about the links to Ryan Cherki. We're going to be linking. Well, yeah, we're going to be doing that as well. We're going to be talking about the latest around Martin Zubimendi and how another credible journalist has said that Liverpool's interest and that whole saga continues. We're also, of course, going to be speaking about other links today, and we're going to be talking about Cherki. Again, I should really do this intro again. We're going to be speaking about Milos Kerkez a little bit more and how that deal looks to be chugging along rather nicely. Some very credible people on the Hungarian side have been speaking about Liverpool's interest in the Birmingham, Bournemouth even. However, should we just pretend I didn't start the stream and we'll do it again? What is up, everybody? You're very welcome along to tonight's Late Night Agenda, where we have loads of great stuff to talk about. We're going to be talking about Milos Kerkez and Liverpool's interest in him. We're going to be speaking about Mohamed Salah, Troy Deeney, and while he's absolutely losing the plot, and lots more in between. So how are we? It was great to see Ireland play out a credible 0-0 draw with England earlier on as well. I turned it off at half-time, and I'm assuming that the game ended 0-0, right? Because, you know, that's the logical... Okay, I know we didn't. Okay, fair enough, 5-0. But, yeah, anyway, well done to England on that one. God, I was so hopeful as well at half-time. But there we go. That's football for you, isn't it? Right. So loads to go through, my friends. We're going to be speaking about Slot and his training methods as well. We're going to be, of course, speaking about Zubimendi. Another interesting stat that's been doing the rounds around David Coote and when he referees Liverpool games and other teams. So, yeah, loads to go through tonight. And again, appreciate you all being with us. So, I'm also going to be making a direct plea to somebody because we need their help. Not me, personally, but I think we in the sports world need their help. So I'm going to be making a direct appeal to somebody later on as well. So remind me to do that one if I forget. Right, first super chat of the night came in. Thank you. You didn't put in a comment, my friend, but again, always want to highlight generosity and say thank you very much. So thank you, sir. Appreciate that. So where do we want to kick off with tonight? We start with a bit of Troy Deeney, actually, shall we? For people who need me to explain who Troy Deeney was, perhaps. Troy Deeney was a championship level footballer who sometimes played in the Premier League. And he's been mouthing off a little bit about Mohamed Salah, and I'm going to be here to call out the nonsense from Troy Deeney. So let me just read out to you what Troy Deeney has said, in case you haven't seen it, and then we'll talk about why he's absolutely deluded. So this is what Troy Deeney's had to say on why he doesn't think Mohamed Salah is world class. Now, I could stop right there, and you'd all agree with me, because just saying that out loud just feels embarrassing. Imagine an actual footballer who played the game at a high level trying to say that Mo isn't world class. But anyway, this is what he had to say. My argument has always been that I just don't think he's world class, said Troy. But world class is just a different opinion. What I think of world class is what I would want my kids to play like. What type of player that is. That's what I think is world class. Now, he goes on to say, if I was asking my kids who want to be forwards, I would be saying I would like them to look more at what Vinicius Jr. does, as opposed to Mohamed Salah. So let me start unpacking this for you. And whilst, of course, I don't want to speak about another man's family or children, he did bring up that he would like his kids to emulate and look at what Vinny Jr. is doing. Now, what I would say to Mr. Deeney is, I'm not here to belittle what Mr. Vinicius Jr. has done, but if you want to show your kids somebody who they should look to grow up to be like, I would argue that a record-setting, top-notch footballer who's also a great human being, who plays with respect and dignity and shows his best side to the world, would be a pretty good example to kids. And I think Mohamed Salah is certainly that. But no, Troy Deeney would rather his kids grow up to be like Vinny Jr., throw his toys out of the pram when he doesn't win the Ballon d'Or, cry arse at referees at every occasion, and don't show up to award ceremony if you're not getting the award. Cool. Well done, Troy. Great role model to be looking at there. Now look, football-wise, excellent footballer Vinicius Jr. But to try and justify your lack of saying Mohamed Salah is world class and using that as the example that you would want kids, and particularly in this occasion his own children, to grow up like, it's pretty silly. Look, Troy Deeney saying Mohamed Salah is world class is just another reminder why there are certain people who shouldn't have a platform to spout their ill-informed bullshit opinions. And Troy Deeney is another one of those. He would crawl over broken glass to be anywhere near the type of footballer Mohamed Salah is, and we all know it. So if you don't want to admit that Mohamed Salah is world class, then you, sir, are a clown. I have nothing else to say. It is absolute nonsense to come out and say that Mohamed Salah is not world class. And you're only making your own legacy look even worse. So I don't have to go on and talk about TalkSport and the opinions of particularly the Brummies on there, by the way, that seem to be going out of their way to take cheap shots at Liverpool and talk out their backsides. But on this one, I feel comfortable in saying I do speak for every Liverpool fan when I say, one, Troy, your opinions are kind of irrelevant to us, mate. And also, you're just saying that to get a reaction, because there's no right-minded, rational human being that knows football, and Troy did play it at the high level, that wouldn't think he's world class. So stop looking for attention. You're getting it now. You're getting a little bit, Troy, and I know you probably need it, mate. But stop talking out your arse, because you're not making yourself look very clever here. Mohamed Salah is world class by any metric, by anyone with a rational mind's opinion. And you just need to stop, because it's foolish, it's embarrassing, and you should be rising above that. Absolute stupidity of the highest order. Imagine trying to say Mohamed Salah isn't world class. It's just, it's honestly, it boils my blood, because these clowns have platforms and people actually seek out this type of stupidity. It baffles me. Like, this man gets on Match of the Day, TalkSport, all to spout this bullshit so they can get clicks, and it drives anger and it keeps the conversation going. I get it, but it's not a real opinion, because I, as a football fan, cannot for the life of me believe that somebody like Troy Deeney doesn't recognise that Mohamed Salah is world class. I can't believe that it's true. So I have to think it's bait, because he couldn't be that dumb. He just couldn't be. Right, I want to move on though to the appeal before we get into the news. I need to make an appeal. So, Mr. Tony Bellew, I know you probably don't like me very much, as I'm a Liverpool fan, and I'm a gobby Liverpool fan at that. But I need to make a plea to you. I need you to come out and do us all a favour. Come out of retirement for a little bit and just knock Jake Paul out. I'm asking you, Tony, as a boxing fan as well as a football fan, and as somebody who has admiration for what you did in the ring, we need you to come out and shut this kid up, because he's fighting Mike Tyson at 58. He's fighting, and he's trying to gain some credibility. I think, Tony, that you would give him that credibility, but also a damn good hiding. So, Tony, if this clip ever makes its way to you, you speak about Jake Paul a little bit, so you're clearly aware of the circles he moves in and what he's doing. And I think, Tony, this could be a winner for you, mate, because there'll be a nice big payday in there, and you also get to do us all a favour, which is put this kid in his place. He's talking about Canelo. He's talking about fighting these fighters and saying that the boxing industry needs him. We need him to be removed until he makes his way the right way. Starts fighting people that are actually boxers. So, Tony, if I could ask you a favour, on behalf of all of us boxing fans, please, mate. I know your wife doesn't want you to continue boxing and all that. I get it. I'm sure she'd understand if you're doing it for the greater good. So, Tony, do it, mate. Come out. Talk the kid into a fight. Let him be. His ego is as such, Tony. I think he'd buy it. And then just do it. Do it, mate. Put him in his place. We all want to see it. So, Tony, if this ever gets to you, mate, we're behind you. Do it. Go on. You know you want to, Tony. Go on. Makes sense, doesn't it? So, there you go. That was my appeal. We need him to do it. I do. I need somebody to do it, because it's getting annoying as a boxing fan at this point. So, yeah. Tony, come on, mate. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk a little bit about Arne Slot, because there was a good piece in the Echo today that was speaking about Arne Slot's training methods and speaking about Trent Alexander-Arnold and giving us a bit of an insight into the small things that Arne and his coaching staff do to make training enjoyable, but to keep them on their toes as well. So He said, we're working in smaller spaces and I'd say it's a very Dutch way of playing, focused on ball mastery. For instance, you tend to play to the back foot every time, and if it doesn't go to the back foot, then the session stops and Arne and his coaching staff are asking why you're not passing it to that foot, why is it not going to the back foot. It's that detailed. The manager's a perfectionist, and so as players you have to be too. We all agree that perfection doesn't exist, but we want to be as close to perfection as possible. That's what we strive for. Now this, my friends, is the type of stuff I could listen to for hours. To hear these players talk about Arne Slot and these small little adjustments and things that he's making, it just makes me feel again, why would Trent want to leave? This manager is clearly a top coach. Trent knows it, we all know it. But now I'm going to move on to some words from Arne Slot about what he does on the training pitch and why he does them. So Arne Slot, speaking about the training ground and the day-to-day stuff, said, my job and our job as a staff is to create fun while they are learning. I want to create a cultural atmosphere where players like to be at this training ground. So many people write about tactics, so it's not that difficult to understand tactics or good training ideas. But it's all about who do I bring and how do I bring these ideas to the players? How do I get them full of energy on a daily basis? It's a constant thought of what am I going to say tomorrow to get them going again? And I love this about Arne Slot and his team, that they're always looking to mix it up, find a new little angle to keep the players interested, to keep things fresh, and to keep the atmosphere on the training ground good. So I love reading stuff like this. It really does just make me feel like we have an incredible coach coming in. And, you know, we're all worried about what life might be like after Jurgen because we had such a great time under Jurgen. Again, I hope that this reinforces the narrative that Arne Slot is no sacrificial lamb. Arne Slot is no make-weight manager. He's here to be successful. He's here to win. And I really do believe he's going to do it as well. So, a couple of messages to get through. Sorry for delaying them, but I haven't forgotten. So, first one up from Adam. Said, great to see you at the show. Myself and Steph had a great night. It was lovely chatting with you both outside as well, mate. And again, I'm still on. If you need me for the wedding or anything, I'm still there. And don't forget, email me your address and I'll get those mugs sorted. Right, next one up from TOTT2KZ1 again. Said, 18 months, subscribed to the sexiest man on YouTube. All aboard HMS Pista League. WFM, Craig, love to you and the family. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Again, it was lovely to meet you both at the show. Adam Brown said, I'm baffled by the links to Cherki. We don't need him unless we sell Dom or Harvey. Hope you're keeping well, my good friend. So, thank you, Adam, for your super chat. Thank you for bringing up that topic as well, bro, because I am just going to go into that link now. And there are links to Cherki. You're right, mate. They've been doing the rounds over the last few days. I would say as well that they're not new. These links have been around for a while, and I've never known if there's much credibility to them. So Mail Sport have said, Liverpool have set their sights on Ryan Cherki as a possible replacement for Mohamed Salah, with the French club seeking to raise funds to address their dire financial situation. Now, they are in a dire financial situation. There's already talk that that financial situation could see Lyon relegated from the top tier of French football. But, like your good self, Adam, I don't see the need. And if we do have a need for a player and a forward, well, that forward is obviously going to be, by the looks of it, Omar Marmoush. So I would say it's not the craziest link in the world, but I kind of lost interest after as a replacement for Salah, because I don't want a replacement for Salah. I want Salah. And that's still possible. So get it done, please, FSG. Get it done, please, Mr. Edwards and Mr. Hughes. Paul, how are you, bro? Always lovely. And by the way, I say this to you at the show, I'll say it to you in the crowd as well. Well, people are here. So I met Paul. Paul was at the show in August. I met Paul again at the show this weekend. And I didn't recognise him because he's lost a ton of weight and he looks absolutely fantastic. So evening, Craig. Skinny bastard here. Thanks for Danielle. Shout out on Friday. Didn't get the chance to thank you on the night. Honestly, between you and me, bro, I enjoyed watching her squirm. I love putting people in uncomfortable positions as well, mate. So happy to do it. Always happy to do it. I swear she thought there was a proposal coming, Paul. But always a pleasure, mate. And it was lovely to see you both again as well. And please do give my love to your good lady. for sitting through 2 of the shows, mate. It's a special lady that does that, sits through 2 shows of mine. So well into you and well into Danielle. I'm watching I'm a Celeb, said Niall. Yeah, I'm going to give it a miss this year, to be honest. I used to watch it, but I'm going to give it a miss this year. So, let's get stuck in some more of these links, because there have been some very credible links to Milos Kerkez from a very credible Hungarian outlet. So this piece here, as per Hungarian Football Extra, or Hun Football Extra, says M4 Sport confirmed that Liverpool's interest in Milos Kerkez is true. Liverpool have now apparently asked for permission from Bournemouth to enter preliminary talks with Kerkez over a move to Anfield. Another Hungarian report has come out to say one of Hungary's most reliable networks, M4 Sport, has now confirmed Anfield Watch's exclusive about Liverpool entering preliminary talks with Milos Kerkez. Very interesting, would be a great move if Liverpool can pull it off. So we know that Richard Hughes would have a communication channel to Kerkez and his representatives from obviously being part of the team that brought him in to Bournemouth. So on this one, as each day goes by, it does feel more and more and more like the hype around Liverpool trying to sign Milos Kerkez is growing. Now, of course, I'm waiting to hear from Mr. David Lynch on this, and I'm still trying to pin him down for a show, for an interview over the next couple of days. So when we get that in the books, I'll let you know. But I'm feeling more and more optimistic about this one. Now, what I don't know is when. So right now, I would say it's unlikely, looking at the situation that we have with Robbo and with Costas, that you'd see a third left back being brought in. Surely, if Liverpool's interest in Kerkez is to come to fruition, it would be with us selling somebody. Most likely Costas would be my guess. But I wanted to know your thoughts on it. So, £50 million price tag, and the links continue to grow. Do you think there's credibility to these? And would you be happy with Kerkez coming to Liverpool if we can get the job done? Because we're not the only ones interested in him, by the way. There's other links as well to the likes of, I think, Man United, Chelsea maybe, and a couple of other Premier League clubs. But certainly Liverpool's name is strongly linked in recent times, and every day that goes by, there's more and more to this, and it looks like it's moving along a little bit. So let's wait and see how it pans out. But again, really would love to know your thoughts. Daniel Jones, thank you, sir, for your super chat. I'm afraid I don't really know the answer to this, but your question was, how many points over Christmas needed to remain top? Look, all roads to me, mate, lead to the December 1st game at Anfield against Manchester City. We come back, we've got Southampton away, 2 o'clock on Sunday, next Sunday, and I feel like we should be taking care of that. Then we've the small matter of a Champions League game against Real Madrid, and then it's Manchester City. That's huge. I'm going to say if we don't lose to Manchester City, it still leaves us in great stead. Let's say for a second, now I want us to beat City, and we could well beat City, but let's say we drew with Manchester City, and Arsenal won that week, and that reeled us in by 2. You're still 7 points clear of Arsenal, still be the 5 clear of Manchester City. You'd have played City in one of the 2 games already, and you'd have played Arsenal in one of the 2 games already. So I wouldn't say no, because 2 draws there mean that, yes, we keep chugging along. Now, I want us to beat Manchester City, and I firmly believe we've got a good chance to do that. But it's these are the games for me that are going to make a big difference to how the season pans out. So I'm hoping that, 1, we pick up no more injuries or anything in the remaining few games of this international break. Now, obviously the England game and the Ireland game earlier on meant that those guys are now finished and they can work their way back to the clubs. But yeah, that's the one for me. The Man City game is going to give me a belief. If we don't lose that game, I'm fully on board HMS Pistol League at that point. So yeah, I don't know how many points they'll make, because that game's important. If we won that game as an example, well then you're 8 clear of City and 9 clear of Arsenal minimum. At that point, I'm excited, mate. At that point, I'm going to be unbearable, quite frankly. And I'm going to be saying things that other Liverpool fans are going to be happy with, because I will start to get carried away, because I'm an optimist in that regard. So yeah, let's wait and see how it pans out. David Smith said, City are there for the taking. Certainly are, mate. Certainly are. they don't look even a pale imitation of themselves. They look nowhere near the levels that we know City are capable of. And actually on that, a little bit about tomorrow. So 6 p.m. tomorrow, myself and Mr. Lee Gunner are going to be live streaming our first episode of the Red Mist podcast. So tomorrow we're going to be covering 4 subjects. The 4 subjects we're going to be chatting about are Ruben Amorim and what he may do at Manchester United, the PGMOL and what needs to be done there. We're also going to be speaking about Chelsea and are they back as genuine contenders moving ahead, and a little bit around Pep Guardiola and his rumoured 1-year contract extension at Manchester City. So we're going to be talking about all of those. We've seen loads of people subscribe already. When we started this channel, it was one of my old ones repurposed, so I had about 24k subs. It's already at 25.1, I think, at the moment. So search that one out, give us a sub, and remember, tomorrow, first live show. Myself and Mr. Lee Gunner introducing everybody to the Red Mist podcast. Right, let's get stuck into a little bit from Mark Ogden of ESPN. So you probably wondered about tonight's stream title. It says, reliable source sparks more talk around Zubimendi. Well, Mark Ogden of ESPN, and somebody who I think is a very good journalist, has said a renewed move for Martin Zubimendi by Liverpool in January cannot be ruled out, with Arne Slot remaining a big admirer of the midfielder. Now, that was posted on the Anfield Agenda X account, of course, crediting Mark Ogden for the story. But also, it's building, right? Because it's not just Mark Ogden. You've seen David Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano and others speak about Liverpool still being there for Zubimendi if he fancies it. Now, there's another part of this conversation that came out where I think it was one of our former players said that we cannot allow him to go to Man City. Like, if there's any indication that City are trying to sign him, we can't let it happen. We have to make sure that if Zubimendi does leave the Basque Country to come to from Real Sociedad, it's to Liverpool. So, again, I'm waiting for David Lynch just to tell me that there's been even a little chink of light to say that Zubimendi is unsure or still hovering on the interest, because that would be us boxed off for the season then. If we could go into the January market, bring in Zubimendi, I'll be happy for the remainder of the campaign then. Look, you want to avoid injuries, of course, but other than the contract renewals, which we'll move on to in a while, I wouldn't say no. But I don't want to get my hopes up, because I can't lie to you, in the summer, it stung, didn't it? It was difficult. You know, so first we seen the links to Zubimendi and we're all like, oh, I can see that. That makes sense. Then you're hearing that, you know, talks are going well and he's never been closer to leaving Sociedad than he has been with Liverpool's interest. And then we're all waiting and waiting and waiting. And of course, we didn't get the outcome we'd hoped for. But it's still chugging along and it won't go away. Now, I don't know if journalists are feeling like because maybe Sociedad haven't offered him a new deal yet, or because Sociedad are kind of floundering around the middle of La Liga, that they feel like this move is possible. But, you know, there's enough top-tier journalists speaking about it that there must still be something there for us to at least hope for. That's my take on that anyway. Ty Carr said ESPN also mentioned Arsenal and City are interested. Absolutely. Look, Arsenal long-term admirers of Zubimendi. But again, I would say, like, if I'm Edwards and Hughes here, right now, there's a couple of things that would make the move to Liverpool way more sensible for Zubimendi. One, the position we're in the league and how well we're playing. Two, the fact that we really do need somebody in this position. Manchester City, you feel like when Rodri gets fit and available again, Zubimendi's minutes will be immediately limited unless they sell Rodri. You also don't know what the future holds for Manchester City around Guardiola and the 115 charges. And with Arsenal, you've only got really that Arteta connection there, and the fact that Mikel Merino's there, and I think it makes sense. If he's going to come to the Prem, and look, this could be red-tinted glasses, I don't see why it wouldn't be Liverpool, because it makes the most sense. You can see how hard Liverpool worked to bring you in, the admiration that's there. You can see that the role would suit you. You can see the style of football would absolutely suit Zubimendi as well. In Arne Slot, I've no doubt sit down with him and have a conversation, and Slot would absolutely convince him of his role and where he sees him in the team. So again, I'm feeling a little bit optimistic, but I don't want to get my hopes up because I don't want to go all in here until I really get an indication that Zubimendi's is weighing up a move. Colin said Zubimendi hasn't got the balls to leave his club. Look, I do understand your hometown club. Remember, like, we're talking about Trent now and wanting Trent to stay at his boyhood club. Now, I know it's a bit different because Liverpool will be challenging for the top honours. So with Zubimendi, you can say, well, look, mate, you're not going to do it at Sociedad. You're not going to be able to challenge in the Champions League. You're not going to be able to challenge for La Ligas. The club's financial situation, where they're at, you know, there's no long-term real future there. For success, I should say. So, yeah, a little bit different. But look, I'll never go in on somebody who wants to stay where his family are settled and a club that's part of his blood. But if he does move, it's got to be us, surely. Nobody said he changed his mind. Exactly. And I've always been honest about that, mate. LFC, I've always been honest about that. Watch anything I've spoken about on Zubimendi. I've talked about journalist talk. I've talked about possibilities. But I've always said the same as you. I've yet to see any guarantee or concrete information to say he's changed his mind or he regrets not making the move. So you're right, mate. We do need to hear that before we can start getting overly excited about it. If Trent sees Zubimendi come, Salah stay, Van Dijk stay, surely he'd want to stay. So we put out a video this morning, and the main topics of the video were around the PGMOL and the Trent Alexander-Arnold situation. And the gist of the video from the Trent perspective was that I said, I want Trent to stay, but I don't think he's worth the 300 to 350 grand a week. And honestly, I was thinking I was going to be slaughtered in the comments. And I read through, not all of them, but a good chunk of them. And I would say 80% of people that commented agreed that Trent shouldn't be given 300 to 350 grand a week. Now, obviously, I don't know if they're Madrid fans shit-stirring, if they're Liverpool fans agreeing with me, but I stand over it. I want him to stay. And if the club give him the deal, I'm not going to moan about it. But I'm just giving you my honest opinion. I don't see a 350 grand a week or 300 grand a week player there. I just don't. Some people were also saying in some of the comments that what the club did with Salah set a precedent that is worrying. And I would again respectfully disagree with those people because Salah earned that. Like, Salah smashed records. Salah delivered year on year. And I don't feel Trent has a big enough impact to justify those wages. I feel like there's a scouts tax on that. I really do. Because if this was a lad from Birmingham or a lad from Colchester, I don't think we'd be having the same conversation. I think he gets a lot more respect from us, of course, because he's a Scouser. So I am being respectful when I say I don't think he's worth it, because if it was another player, I promise you, my words would probably be a little bit stronger. Jeff, how are you, bro? Welcome in and thank you for your super chat, mate. Appreciate you. Hi, Craig. Imagine this. Atletico Madrid, Zubimendi sit there, watch this video of the Basque Mountains, Liverpool FC, affect the mountains, look at the Premier League table. Well, it's not Atletico Madrid, mate. It's Real Sociedad. But, again, affect the mountains. I'm with you on that one. You should just tell me about Nabsies in Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? Tell him he can come see Anfield Agenda, the Hot Water Comedy Club as well. It's got all the festivities in Liverpool, mate. He can live that life in Liverpool. Tilsheen said, Scouts tax and English tax rounds the wages up to 300k. Just give it to him. I don't like those last words, mate. I don't like this just give it to him because we've put ourselves in this shitty situation part. I do think there has to be some semblance of common sense here. Like, yes, the club shit the bed allowing this situation to get to where it is, but you also can't set a precedent where you just give in and just give the player the money just because you don't want to lose them. I think it's dangerous territory, and I think it might provoke others to do the same in the similar situations. And it's one of these situations where I think the club should maintain a relatively firm stance. Meet him in the middle somewhere by all means. I just don't see 300 as a good idea. I just don't. What percentage you giving on Trent staying? You know, I'll give you mine, but sure, let's ask the chat. Let's ask the chat. One second. Right, so simple question. Is Trent going to stay at Liverpool? You guys answer yes or no, and I'll give you my take now. So for me, I'm probably 60-40 in favour of the idea that he's going to leave. No, I don't know what's going to happen. Same as everybody else, I'm just a fan sitting here waiting. But in my mind, as I've said on many occasions on the streams, I've gone through all the questions and the checklists of what might be delaying it and what answers Trent may need and what ambition the club needs to show. And I've gone through all of those things, and I feel like the club have ticked most of those boxes. And right now, if I was to guess, I'd say it's on Trent to make his mind up. Do you want to stay? And if yes, work out a deal with the club. You know, we're hearing lots of stuff about Trent turning down contract offers, but we don't know this. We don't know if he has or hasn't. We don't know. Because if he's turning down contract offers, that would surely mean that he's given an indication to the club that staying is what he's eyeing up doing. And that would be a good thing. Negotiations are fine. And if Trent's been offered a contract and he says no, he wants X and Y, that's a positive update. But we don't know if that's the case. We do know that the club want him to stay. I feel very confident in saying that. But also, that last line of Till Sheen's there, I just can't agree with. Just give it to him. This just doesn't feel like the smart play. Tobogo said, we don't want Trent to stay because he's the reason we're top. We want him to stay because we love and appreciate him, but we don't worship him. With the way we play now, we can easily replace him. I think you've summarised that quite well there. You're right, we all want him to stay. We do appreciate him, as you've said. But I personally don't worship him yet. I would go onto that page. I think he does get a little bit more brownie points because he's a local boy and you always want a scout's heartbeat in the team where possible. But not to the sense of being held to ransom on a price. I think there has to be a bit of give and both ways because he has to show his love and admiration for the club as well. And if that means maybe you get 50 grand a week less than you're hoping for, you know, I would like to think that that's enough to convince him, because I don't think Real Madrid are going to give him 300 grand a week. I really don't. I'd be very surprised if they did. Because on top of that, he'd want a signing on bonus there. And I'm sure if he stays at Liverpool, he'd want a loyalty signing on bonus as well. And that's not out of the question. That's not out of the realms of normality either. You know, a lot of players do get little bonuses like that when they sign on. So I'd have no problem when I'm getting a signing on bonus. I just think the weekly wage thing needs to be something the club look at very, very carefully. Did you see Ireland, England 5-0? Yes, mate, I did. Look, I want to actually say something on that game, because when we went down to 10 men, England were ruthless and they did their job very well and they scored their goals and they put us to the sword like they should do. So, no problem about any of that. But I have to talk about the first half a little bit, because that referee was an absolute joke. 2 penalty shouts for Ireland. One of them, I don't care who you follow, nailed on, obvious, blatant penalty. And what on earth is the point of VAR if they aren't telling the referee to go look at that? If this was Liverpool and we'd seen that happen in a game, I would lose my damn mind. So I felt like Ireland were shafted out of a possible penalty. But after that, I've no issues with the England penalty. I've no issues with the second yellow. No issues with any of that. Penalty was the right decision for England. Second yellow I can understand. And then, as I said, England put Ireland to the sword, and full credit to them. But that first half, that referee was awful. Just dishing out stupid yellow cards. It was awful. Did I watch Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson? I did not, because it's not real boxing. I've seen the highlights of it. I appreciate that Jake Paul took his foot off the gas a little bit because I don't want to see Mike get hurt. But the whole thing was a farce from start to finish. The whole main card, like the main fight, should never have happened. David said, I agree with you, Craig, about Trent, and by the way, I love your new intro song. Thank you. It was sent to us by a Connor, not Air Connor, a different Connor, and we love it as well. And I think it's a nice little intro to the stream. So thank you, man. Appreciate you. Anthony said, if Trent's looking for those eye-watering wages, the club need to tell him no and let the fans know his demands were unreasonable. Diaz is having a blinder this season and still on about 80k a week. Yep. And again, under Jurgen, this is going to sound a bit weird, right? But under Jurgen, I'd probably be more inclined to think Trent's influence would justify a heavier wage. But under Arne, I feel like the way that we play, Trent's attacking exploits are a little bit less at the cost of his defending being a little bit better. So the balance under Arne, I think, with Trent is better. But I would say his impact in an offensive sense has reduced a little bit, but not because Trent's been poorer, but because of the way we play. I just don't see he's the 300k player in our team. I just don't. Jamerson Willis said, Luke Littler won the darts Grand Slam tonight. I watched earlier on, mate, the game with Gary Anderson. You know what? The kid has unbelievable bottle. To come back like he did. And again, fair play. He's an undoubted superstar of darts. Absolutely undoubted. I wanted Gary to win it because he's never won it. But look, fair play to Littler. Undeniable. Absolute talent. Do you realistically think the club will buy anyone in January? I think they would if the player's there, yeah. I think the money will be there. I do. So, when I get angry about transfers normally, it's because I don't feel that the backing is there. But I do think if they have identified the player, they'll try. I really do for this one. Like, I was asked at the live show as well, do I think that the Caicedo bid was real from Liverpool? And I do, because I can't see how they would have whittled out of it if he had have agreed to the move. Like, I can't see a world where they would have bid that much, fought to get him, then he says yes, and then we don't do it. I think they would have been absolutely slaughtered in that situation. So I think it would be a risk that I don't think has an upside for them. But yeah, I do. I think the money might be there, but I don't know if we're going to sign somebody or not. I just hope we're still not banging our head against a brick wall, feeling like there's nobody in the world out there. Because that I don't buy into. I don't buy into the fact that we can't find a midfielder who could complement Slot's system. Blair Simpson said, I love Gary and I'm probably being salty, but I can't be doing with Littler. Look, I think he's just an incredible darts player. There's just no denying that. You know, Luke Littler is an absolute superstar and an incredible darts player. But it wouldn't be my type of character. You know, he's never going to be my favourite darts player, but he's undeniable. IFI must say, Craig, I hit me at 180 after not throwing darts for a few years. Nice. Well, you always leave. You always get a photo of them, leave them in and all. Just leave them in there for the next time when you come back. What happens to Robbo if we do get Kerkez? So what I would see happening is a mixture of Robbo being played in very specific games and Kerkez then being eventually eked into the role with maybe a view to him starting next season or whatever. I would never be writing off Andy Robertson. I think Robbo still has a part to play at Liverpool. I hope Arne Slot's right and we're just not seeing a fully fit Andy Robertson is the reason why we're not getting the same performances we know Robbo's capable of. Who is Kerkez? So he's a Hungarian defender, plays for Bournemouth. That's pretty much all I can tell you. Came into the Premier League, doing really well, has caught the interest of lots and lots of clubs, and certainly is the calibre of player we should be looking at. But though there are a few left backs I wouldn't mind at the club, he's one of them. Obviously, De Kuiper, as I said before, at Club Bruges, and Aït-Nouri, I wouldn't say no to either. I'm very easy on these things, though. I just want whoever the manager wants, because ultimately the manager's going to live and die by his decisions with regards to his job. So I want, if the manager says I want X and Y, I want the club to go out and get X and Y. Pranav said, Craig, would you give Virgil 300k a week? And also, if you could get both Zubimendi and Zubimendi at the same price, who would you pick? Easy, Zubimendi. 100% pick Zubimendi over Zubimendi with the way we play now. And would I give Virgil 300k a week? Yes, I would. Because I think he's earned that. He's our captain. And him and Ibrahim Konate, in my opinion, are the best two centre-backs in the league, the best pairing in the league. So I would give Virg that, because I think over his career and what he's done, he's earned it. I don't think he'll get it, by the way. I don't think the club will give Virgil 300k a week, but I would have no issues if we did. I think, I look at Virgil van Dijk and I think he's top 3 defenders in the world. I don't look at Trent Alexander-Arnold and feel like we're talking about top 3 right back in the world. That would be the difference in my mind anyway. And I think Virg's impact, if we lost them, would be bigger for us. And to replace them would be a bigger task for the club. So let's check in on the poll. Is Trent going to stay at Liverpool? Remember, that's the question. So if you haven't voted, please do. There's still plenty of time. So far, 58% said no, Trent isn't going to stay at Liverpool, and it's gone 57 now, and 43% says yes, he will stay at Liverpool. What is this? 280k for Virgil. I think he's currently on 220. Yeah, I think that's fair, Tilsheen. Look, anything 250 to 300, anything in and around that bracket, I think is reasonable for Virgil van Dijk. Mohamed Salah, I wouldn't be looking to give him a pay rise. I've always said this. I've been very consistent on it. If he's happy to go on the same terms he's on now, absolutely roll that over for another 2 years with an option of a third. I feel very comfortable saying that would be great. I don't believe he should be getting a pay rise, Mo. I don't. I think he's already the highest paid player at the club, deservedly, but I'd try and stick to that. Maybe he can put in a couple of more bonuses or whatever, but for me, I feel comfortable keeping him what he's on now. Aki said, can I have a quick recap? Yeah, 2 minutes, bro. I'll get through it now for you in a couple of minutes. I just have a few more things I need to run through. So, on this, right, on the David Coote thing, WhoScored.com and many others have posted a stat that, if confirmed and true, is kind of mind-boggling. So, WhoScored.com posted to say, teams with the best win percentage when officiated by David Coote for 5 or more matches. Bolton have a win percentage of 60% when refereed by David Coote. Leicester City, 61.3%. Manchester United, 62.5%. Liverpool, they say, have a win percentage of 66.7% when David Coote referees. Manchester City, would anybody like to take a guess what the win percentage for Manchester City is, according to WhoScored.com and many others, when David Coote referees? Would you like to take a stab in the dark? Now remember, Liverpool and Arsenal are probably the two teams that have competed most with Manchester City and would have high win rates anyway. Manchester City have a 100% win rate. 100. Perfect with David Coote officiating. Now, I know we're not allowed to talk about conspiracy theories because we're trying to keep this factual. But the fact that our win percentage, there's a different stat to this that slightly varies it, by the way. That is, it with Coote involved, whether it was a VAR, a linesman or a ref, that has Liverpool below Manchester United by about 10% of win rate. It's a very fortunate coincidence that Manchester City have a 100% win rate. Fortunate that. Interesting. And also, in the video that I put out this morning, somebody said I said 100 as a joke. I know, I nearly fell off my chair. And actually, at first I said to Connor, we're not using this. That couldn't be true. But then we searched and we found multiple credible sources who have posted these numbers. You know, because I was dubious. At first I said, nah, this feels a bit down the rabbit hole kind of stuff. But many credible outlets have posted it. So, yeah. It's mad. Now, on the video this morning as well, I did speak to the culture at the PGMOL. Because again, I'm going to ask, what type of employee feels that comfortable doing these things and posting these things to fellow employees around parties at hotels, recording of certain incidents, bragging about not liking Liverpool and Everett not wanting to referee at Goodison Park because Scousers are shouting at him, and not wanting to go down to Bournemouth because it's so far away, not wanting to referee in the Championship because he's too big for that. He's a referee. These lads have been made to be mini celebrities by the broadcasters, and then the broadcasters, as I've mentioned them many times, have the barefaced cheek to talk to us about the microscope that referees are under and why we should all be more respectful to them. Like I said in my little rant last week or earlier on this week, nobody asked to know the referees' names. Nobody asked to have Ref Watch and Mic'd Up and all of these shows that they put out there. Nobody asked to have Mike Dean on Gillette Soccer Saturday. Nobody wanted this. The broadcasters have caused this shitstorm of highlighting referees. They should be unknown to us. Just go about and do your damn job. And if you're told to referee in the Championship for a game, then you referee in the goddamn Championship for a game. Because your employer's telling you to do that. These guys need to be put in their place. And it speaks to a culture of arrogance and entitlement that these people think that this is okay. Nobody is beyond reproach. Nobody should fight against transparency. And referees, whether the broadcasters and some journalists like to admit it, have got a case to answer here. The PGMOL sacked a referee before for making a joke about a disabled father at Sports Day and also taking the piss out of himself, the referee at the time, and he was fired. And David Koo has clearly been at this carry-on for a long time. And my question is, who else? Who else is at it? Because if you're that comfortable asking other referees to go to these parties with you in hotels and 10 minutes before the City Spurs game, booking a travel lodge or whatever it was for one of these David Koo parties, that speaks to a certain level of I'm not concerned with the consequences. And that's worrying. That's worrying to me. And we can't constantly be told we're all mad. I don't think the PGMOL are fit for the purpose personally. And I'm sick of everybody trying to caveat, oh, referees' job's difficult. It is difficult. But we don't give a fuck about their names or how great they think they are or the impact that they have. The managers, the footballers are the reasons we watch the game, not referees. So stop trying to protect and defend the indefensible. Sometimes there are arseholes in any organisation. And you can't say it's tinfoil hat stuff when people are pissed off. Because there is some meat on these bones. Anthony said, I've always thought Coote was not only useless at his job, but can't be trusted to ref Liverpool games or games that affect Liverpool. So Gary Neville tried to say, take him off Liverpool games. And Gary Neville knows that that wouldn't be enough. Because he can still impact Liverpool, not being refereeing Liverpool games. And it's not just Liverpool, Gary. You know, a close friend of his has been quoted as saying, again, that he hates going to Goodison. So it is the entire city of Liverpool that Coote seems to dislike, according to sources close to him. So I would say, no, fuck him, fire him, and make him an example And yes, give them support emotionally and all the other stuff that an employer should do. But let's not pretend that this isn't absolutely abhorrent and absolutely a fireable offence. Like, the mental gymnastics that Neville has gone through to try and justify this shite is pathetic. Tuck said, apart from Pierluigi Collina, us fans shouldn't know the name of any other referees, but yet I guarantee everybody can name at least 5. Exactly. Like, we're told the VAR was coming in to remove the arguments and the debate and to make referees' jobs easier. Were we not? Were we not told that? VAR is coming in because it's going to stop you debating with your mates down the pub about decisions. It's going to clear up these errors. It's going to help out the referees and it's going to make their jobs easier. And it's done nothing of the sort. Despite Howard Webb going on mic'd up and talking about correct decisions rising by this or that. Bullshit. Because once again, they've massaged things to suit their narrative. What is clear and obvious? They threw this out there to say that they'll only intervene on clear and obvious, which is not definable. Again, transparency. Take responsibility for the bad apples in your organisation. Or football should look to remove the PGMOL because it doesn't seem to me like it's fit for purpose. And I have no doubt that there are some great referees, professional referees, because I know people that have worked with some of them, and I know people that have said to me that they are thoroughly professional. Like, I know people have told me that they've trained with Anthony Taylor and that he is a model professional in going about his work and his business. So I'm not trying to just slate referees for the fun of it, but to just say that there isn't even possibly a world where they might have something against another team is bullshit. Would you let Mo go for 80 million for a better young winger? It's a pointless question, mate, because one, you're not getting any money for him because he's not going to sign to leave in January. He wouldn't accept the sale. So it's a pointless question because, you know, it's not one that we're going to get an answer to that's going to come into real life. So it's just purely in the hypothetical realm. Again, not having to go at you, bro, at all. Just, you know, no point in me answering it. There's no upside to me answering that question. So I did promise that gentleman a minute ago that I'd recap. And I'm going to go through and be a man of my word. So we started off the stream tonight speaking about Troy Deeney and his ridiculous take on Mohamed Salah. So Troy Deeney thinks that Mohamed Salah is not world class. He said, my argument has always been that I just don't think he's world class. But world class is just a different opinion. What I think of world class is, would I want my kids to play like that player? That's what I think is world class. That in itself is nonsensical. Because would I want my kids to play like that player is just it is his view, as he's saying, but it makes no sense. Mohamed Salah, by any metric, is world class. There wouldn't be a player at the top level that doesn't agree that Mohamed Salah is world class. And when I see these type of takes from him and the other clown on TalkSport, Gabriel Agbonlahor, I think they're just looking for attention. And yeah, sometimes they're going to get it because it does rile us up. But I also feel it's important that they're called out for their stupidity because it is just that, the height of stupidity. He goes on to say, if I was asking my kids who want to be forwards, I would be saying I would like them to look at what Vinicius Jr. does as opposed to Mohamed Salah. Now let's just look at that again for a second. What does Vinny do that Mo doesn't do? He's younger than Mo, so maybe he has that burst of energy a bit more than Mo. But you go back and look at Mo 4 or 5 years ago. He was flying past defenders down the wing. He was ripping them to shreds, turning them inside, outside, scoring all different types of goals. There is no world where Vinicius Jr. has done anything Mohamed Salah has not done. Vinicius is a great footballer and lovely to watch. But I would want my kids to follow the example of the man who shows kindness to the world, who is a model professional who doesn't throw his toys out of the pram and cry arse about not winning the Ballon d'Or and not showing up, and who doesn't moan at referees every 2 minutes. This, to me, from Deeney is just bait, and I probably shouldn't react to it, but he has to be called out because it's absolute bullshit. And I don't want any child or any person watching this thinking that, oh, maybe Mo Salah isn't world class. Maybe we're just being exaggerating his class. No, Mohamed Salah is world class by any goddamn metric. And Troy Deeney knows that. He knows that deep down. So don't fall for it because it's bullshit. Then we moved on to speak about a rumour from Mail Sport that said Liverpool have reportedly set their sights on Cherki as a possible replacement for Mo Salah, with the French club seeking to raise funds to address their dire financial situation. I went on to say that their situation is pretty dire financially. They are looking at potential relegation because of this financial situation, the fact that they could go into administration or bankruptcy. And what I would say is this Cherki link isn't new. It's been there for a little while. But for me, I feel like if we are looking at a forward, it's got to be Omar Marmoush. It's got to be. Like, everything is there to suggest, 1, he's the right fit. 2, he's attainable. 3, he wants to come. So for me, I would say if we're looking for a forward, I'd be very confident Marmoush is way more likely. Then we spoke about some words from Trent Alexander-Arnold about Arne Slot's training methods, and I think these give a great insight into what Arne's trying to do at the club. So he said training's more intense, if anything. We're working in smaller spaces, and it's very much a Dutch way of playing, focused on ball mastery. For instance, you tend to play to the back foot every time, and if it doesn't go to the back foot, then the session stops and you're asked, why are you passing to that foot when it should be to the back foot? It's that detailed. The manager's a perfectionist, and so as players you have to be too. We all agree that perfection doesn't exist, but we want to be as close to perfection as possible. That's what we strive for. And as I mentioned earlier on when I read this out first, I could listen to this all day. I could read stuff like that all day. I love these insights that we're getting. And that was Trent, by the way, saying that. But now we're going to move on to Arne and his words about the sessions and what he tries to do. So he said, my job and our job as a staff is to create fun while they are learning. I want to create a cultural atmosphere where players like to be at this training ground. So many people write about tactics, so it's not that difficult to understand tactics or good training ideas. But it's all about, how do I bring this to the players? How do I get them full of energy on a daily basis? It's a constant thought of, what am I going to say tomorrow to get them going again? So you may have heard me say towards the end of Jurgen Klopp's reign that there's only so many times your words can have an impact. There's only so many times you can give a stirring speech or ask the players to go to the well. And Arne already here, early doors, is talking about trying to mix it up on the training ground, trying to keep the players interested, but wanting to be there, wanting to learn, enjoying the sessions, challenging them. And he also goes on to speak about if the stuff that he knows they enjoy, he almost uses it as a reward. So we'll go through the difficult stuff, the energy sapping stuff, and then reward them to get morale back up towards the end of a session with the stuff he knows they enjoys. And I love hearing about this. I love hearing these insights into what it's like on the training pitch under Arne and, you know, how detailed these things are. Because we've spoken about the mentality and the camaraderie and the great group that we have who genuinely seem to get on really well together. And it feels like Arne's trying to foster that and bring it on again. So, yeah, more of this, please. On top of that, we spoke a little bit about a report that was posted on our own X account or Twitter account. And we said, as per Hun Football Extra, which is a Hungarian football outlet, M4 Sport, who is a broadcaster, I believe, in Hungary, confirmed that Liverpool's interest in Milos Kerkez is true. They went on to say that Liverpool have now asked for permission from Bournemouth to enter preliminary talks for Kerkez. Moving on from that, the next piece up was one of Hungary's most reliable networks, M4 Sport, has now confirmed Anfield Watch's exclusive about Liverpool entering preliminary talks with Milos Kerkez. Very interesting, would be a great move if Liverpool can pull it off. And this comes from a guy called @Ben Boshak. So Bocsak, to give him his credit as well if you want to check him out on social media. Then we moved on to Mark Ogden of ESPN, and him saying that a renewed move for Martin Zubimendi by Liverpool in January cannot be ruled out, with Arne Slot remaining a big admirer of the midfielder. Also, I believe in that same piece spoke about Manchester City and Arsenal's admiration and interest in Zubimendi. And I would say that, look, if he does show any inclination or want to move to the Prem, we've got to make sure it's at Liverpool. We've got to make sure that he believes that we're the best fit for him, because I genuinely do think we are the best fit for him. So yeah, that's where we were at. And then we kind of had that astonishing thing from WhoScored.com about the win percentages when David Koo has officiated 5 or more matches for teams. Bolton have a 60% win percentage, Leicester 61.3%, Manchester United 62.5%, 66.7% for Liverpool, and Manchester City 100% win. Want to correct something on the video actually from this morning. Somebody said to me in the comments that I said that Trent wants to be the highest paid player in the Premier League, and that you're looking at the likes of Saka and Rashford. I didn't say that. I said he wants to be the highest paid English player in the Premier League, and that's why I use Saka and Rashford as examples, because they're somewhere like 300, 350 grand. I know there are players in the Prem who've earned more, but I did say in the piece that it's the highest paid English player he wants to become. Mark said the Clips channel's now on 35k. Nice. And if you haven't subscribed to the Clips channel, folks, link pinned to the top of the chat there. So if you could, that would be very much appreciated. Also, would love to see you get those likes up as well. If you haven't, please do hit that like button. And a reminder that tomorrow, 6 p.m, will be the first episode of the Red Mist podcast with myself and Mr. Lee Gunner. Let's see what Vinny does when he be 32. Exactly, mate. Exactly. With Mohamed Salah, we're talking about longevity here as well. Craig, have you read Johnny Sexton's book? Very good so far. No, but I'd say it would be a good read, Joel. Certainly, thank you for the suggestion. Might put it on the Christmas list, because the mother-in-law always buys me a book every year. So maybe I'll suggest that one this year. Vibe says, respect repeating the journalism. Some of us don't check all the news sources. All good, my man. Look, we always want to credit everybody as well. So if we talk about a story from somewhere, we want to make sure we credit that person or that outlet for their work as well. So appreciate you. Thank you. Al-Hassan, excuse me, sir, said Troy is just talking nonsense. Remind him more. Sit down with the defence 2017. Yeah, he's talking nonsense. You're right, and he knows he is as well. I've no doubt in my mind that he knows Salah's world class. Absolutely he does. Jobo said, call me mad listening to Anfield Agenda while putting up our Christmas decorations. We love that, mate. So you know what? There's a rule in my house that I hate the Christmas decorations, mate. I'm a real bah humbug merchant. So my wife does them when I'm out. So I come home and the Christmas stuff will be up, because honestly, I can't be arsed with it all. I'd love to just piss off on holidays for Christmas. Because now, my son's heading for 13 in January. My daughter's 20. We've no little ones around to be doing the whole big festivity stuff for. So yeah, I'm defo. I respect you, and I respect you even more, mate, that you're listening to me while putting them up. So I'll try not to shout and make you fall off a ladder. I'll do my best. Ibu captain France with 3-1 win over Italy. Yes, Pranav. I meant to say that earlier on, mate, and thank you for bringing it up. Yes, delighted for Ibu. Got that recognition from the manager, giving the captain's armband for the night, and a very credible 3-1 victory as well against Italy. So, yeah, well done. What do you mean your daughter's 20? I thought you're like 35. I'm 43, mate. Yeah, I know. Feel it as well. But yeah, it's crazy. Like, I keep saying, like, oh my God, I could be a grandfather in the next couple of years. Like, I'm not ready for that. Like, I don't mean I'm not ready for my daughter to have a child, or to, I'm not ready to be called granddad, is what I'm saying. My tree is up in the loft until December, said Dave. Proper order as well, mate. And down, and I'd be very much taking. I'd be almost taking mine down at midnight on Christmas Day, Dave, if I got my way. Tilsheen said Rabiot resurgence. He's at Marseille, if I'm right now, mate. Is that right? Look, he can have as many resurgences as he wants, just stay away from Liverpool. Oh, Michael, I'm sorry, mate. I'm only reading up on your message here now. You said you found out today when you were on the bus that your auntie passed away. She's not been well for a while and had dementia. I'm so sorry to hear that, Michael. And sending you lots of love, mate. And I see people inside the chat as well where we're saying similar. And sorry I didn't spot it before now, mate. But yeah, our sincere condolences, mate, to you and your family on the passing of your aunt. Do you think it'd be wise to go back for Monday after he already rejected us? Oh, you mean Zubimendi. After he already rejected us. So, it would only be wise if he shows an indication, Al Hassan, that he's changed his mind. You know, we'd be very foolish to just throw everything at it and end up with the same rejection. It would have to be him showing a willingness to leave Sociedad. It would have to be pretty apparent that he wants to, and then you fight your case for it to be Liverpool. But yeah, I agree with you. If we ended up going after him again and he decided to stay on one more time, we would look like absolute clowns. Jack Sexton, yes, of course I can, mate. Happy birthday, bro. Happy birthday to you. Many happy returns. Hope you have a lovely day. And thank you for spending a little bit of it with us. Appreciate you. Steve Aldersley, always lovely to see you in, mate. Thank you for dropping in as well. Appreciate you. Good to see you as well. Nick said, for me, Salah is in the top 5 Liverpool players of all time, and we've had hundreds of great players. Yep, we very much have, mate. Very lucky as a football club to have had so many great players over the years. I watched a good thing actually on Sky this week about Sami Hyypiä. I think it was a Premier League production. They were just revisiting Sami Hyypiä's career and what he's up to now. Always great. Love Big Sammy. Paul said, come to Toronto so I can take you out for a pint. Do you know, there's a very, very, very good chance we go to Toronto at some point, Paul, because I think I've mentioned this on a few occasions. My wife has 3 sets of aunts and uncles that emigrated over to Canada. We went there when my daughter was 1 for her first birthday. Haven't been over since. But some of them live in and around the Mississauga part of, which I believe from memory is kind of like a suburb or outside of Toronto, on the edges of Toronto. So we want to get back over and visit them. So yeah, mate, there's every chance we see Toronto at some point. And it would have to be a pint of Coke, if that's alright, because I'm not really a drinker, mate. But weed's legal, I believe, in Toronto or in Canada. So, you know, maybe we can skip the drink and stuff altogether and get straight down to the herbal infusions. And instead of hitting the like button, I'd rather be hitting the love button for you, Craig. Thanks for staying on. Oh, do you know what, mate? Thank you, Nick. So many people came up and said something similar to me about being happy I'm staying on. And I do appreciate it. But as I said before, I also apologise to our community for being wavering. Like, I shouldn't have let it get in my head. I should know better than that. But, you know, sometimes I'm a bit more... what's the word I'm looking for? I'm a bit more emotionally weak sometimes when I'm going through a difficult patch or anything. When I see that type of stuff, then on top of it, it does get in my head sometimes. Jobo said, nice to know you're open to a puff and a pass. Mate, I will scream till the cows come home about why I think it should be legalised. I promise you, without it, I don't know that I would be the same person. I don't know that I would be able... I don't think my mental health would be as good without weed. Honestly, it's been a huge part of my life for a very long time. I am very regimented in what I do. You know, I'm very... I use it in the evening only. I never would touch it during the day. It's an everyday part of my life, mate, and I will scream till the cows come home about why I believe it should be legalised here in Ireland, because I've seen the impact of alcohol and what it has done, and it's torn through my family and many others, and that's taxed, regulated, and I'm not saying get rid of drink, but I'm saying I think if you're looking from a safety perspective, yes, nothing is going to be absolutely perfect, and yes, some people with certain mental health conditions may need to be more wary or stay clear, but overall, I think the impact and positivity of it, it's been so important in my life. So yeah, I'm always going to speak openly about anything I believe in. Wait, you might actually go to Canada. Oh, defo, mate. Look, there's every chance we go back to Canada. It mightn't be necessarily an Anfield Agenda thing. It might just be a Craig and family thing. But yeah, look, Canada's been on the to-do list again for us for a while, because, as I said, it's been 19 years since we've been over there. Craig, my good friend, did the Hollyweed sign. Nice. Be cool if you did something with the OLSC Toronto. So I'm going to be honest with you, Paul, right? I haven't really had many good experiences reaching out to OLSCs. And I don't know the Toronto OLSC situation, but in most cities that we go to for a show, we reach out to the OLSCs to offer them some free tickets and stuff, and we never, ever, ever, ever get replies. And we never, ever, ever get any love back. So I don't know if I've rubbed a lot of these up the wrong way or whatever, but I would be more than happy to do anything with the Toronto OLSC, bro. But my life experience of reaching out to them has never worked out well for us. Curtis said, alright Craig, lad, didn't know you liked the Deeney cabbage. As I said, mate, it's played a huge part in my life. And I don't think I'd be the same guy without it. I don't think I'd sleep as well. I don't think I just don't think I'd be the same person, Craig, it's a Friday night. What are you going to order, Chinese or pizza? 9 times out of 10, it'll be a pizza. So if I did a tier list, it would be pizza's always number 1, fish and chip shop number 2, or chipper as we call it over here. Number 3, I'll probably say Chinese would be number 3, but I'm kind of hit and miss with Chinese. I'll go through phases where I love Chinese food, and then I won't eat it for ages. I will say this though, of all the types of fast food, value-wise, nothing beats Chinese takeaway. You get your value for money there, without a doubt. Like pizza's getting crazy. Like Domino's here in Gorey are taking the piss about the prices of stuff. Like 20 quid for a pizza, 22 quid for a pizza. It's a glorified sandwich. But yeah, I love a pizza though. No Indian. No, not really. And it's more a case of I haven't really found the things that I like with regards to Indian takeaways. I know that there is some stuff done in the clay oven with dry. I'm not a sauce person really. So some of the baked stuff in the clay ovens I've tried before from Indian takeaways and stuff that have been okay. But I usually just pussy out and end up with naan breads and chips or something. Rookie Football said, Craig, thanks for inspiring me to start a YouTube channel. It's getting better by the day. Brilliant. Have at it, bro. And I hope it goes well for you. I will always say to anybody, shoot for the stars. Put yourself out there. Try your best. Because, yeah, maybe it doesn't work. Maybe you fall down. But you learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about what might work next time. And just keep going. We started out as a podcast and through different iterations ended up here. And I couldn't imagine my life without this in it. Buy a pizza oven. Oh, I have one. You don't think your boy has the Ninja outside pizza oven? Come on now. Of course I do. If there's one thing you should probably know about me outside of my love of Adidas, which of course you know of, my love of Shark and Ninja products is equally as ridiculous. So in my house, in my kitchen, there's a lot of ninja stuff. The Hoover in the house, Shark, which is the same company. Yeah, my wife, it's become a running joke now where, air fryers, ninja, outdoor oven, ninja, kettle, ninja. So yeah, I've got me a pizza oven, bro. Don't worry about that. Unfortunately, though, the weather was just shite this year, and I didn't get to use it much. Imagine signing Zubimendi and Marmoush in January. I'd lose my mind, said Ty. Oh, mate, they might as well just give us the league title if that was the case, There's no would we, blah, blah, blah. We would. We defo would. Joshua said, Craig, do you think Kerkez is the right choice for left back? I want whoever the manager wants. Like, of course, we would all have our own preferences, but I'm not arrogant enough to think that my idea of who should be the right left back is more in tune with what we need than Arne Slot's. So I'm happy to bow down to whatever the manager wants to do at left back. I can understand the links to Kerkez. I can understand the links to ENQUIRIES, and I would be happy with either. But I'm very simple in football. I want what the manager wants, because the manager is ultimately going to be the one that either succeeds or fails with these decisions. So if Arne wants Kerkez, then I want the club to get him Kerkez. Aren't you a bit scared that Marmoush could turn out to be a one-season wonder? No, not at all. I haven't, because just watch him, And I would say as well, the club would have more than enough data and metrics to back it up. No, I don't think he is a one-season wonder. I think he's just on a trajectory that's upwards at the minute. And, Mo surprised me. If we're going back to Mohamed Salah when we signed him from Roma, I'd seen what he'd done setting up Edin Dzeko a lot over there and, scored his own fair share of goals over in Serie A and, at Fiorentina before that. But never, ever did I think that Mo was going to become what he has when we signed him. But that's testament to the man's work rate and professionalism. Al Hassan said, do you think this is the last season of our number 9 if he doesn't score 20 plus goals? I honestly, I always give you my honest opinion. I'd be selling Diogo Jota over Darwin, because whilst I'm starting to think of Darwin more along the lines of Bobby Firmino, as in, yes, it's great when he scores, but it's what he does for the others that I think is equally as important. So the runs that he makes, the way he occupies defenders, the different option he may give us. I would say I'm seeing enough to think that Darwin's trending in the right direction. Still more to come before we're fully satisfied, but yeah, honestly, at this moment in time, I'm not even thinking about the idea of us selling Darwin. I've heard news of... What? Of a Raising Cane's here in London. Very excited. Weirdly, man, we were just talking about that the other day. That's a chicken place or something, right? Because when we were checking into our hotel in Liverpool, we stayed at the Crown Plaza out by Liverpool Airport. And so we got to the hotel and we were a bit early to check in. So we said, look, we're going to get ourselves a bite to eat. There was a shopping place across the road. And there was Nando's, there was Five Guys, there was Popeyes that wasn't open yet. And there was a few other places, and weirdly that came up in conversation because I'd never heard of it before. And Connor was saying to me that it's apparently supposed to be really nice, the Raising Cane's place. So, yeah, happy days. I'm delighted because Wimpy are open in 10 locations in Ireland. And I love me some Wimpy, so... Make Anfield great again said, don't sell Jota. For me, mate, I'm just getting to the point of the more reliable, robust players we can have in the squad, the better. Nobody, I think, will ever question Diogo Jota's calibre or quality or finishing ability. But if he's not available, it's not really worth it to us over the course of a few seasons. Because if Diogo Jota was fit and robust, I'd say he'd probably play most weeks for us. But he isn't. And I think at this point he's missed about 106, 107 games for club and country over the last 5 or 6 years, which is a lot of football. So yeah, that's just my honest opinion. I like Diogo. I rate him very, very highly, but unfortunately, he's just never going to be available to us, it seems, for an entire campaign. Michael said, so happy you're staying, Craig, and you're the best community channel on. Thank you. Look, it's because of you guys, as I've always said. The community's great because of the people that make up the community. Only thing good in Wimpy was the milkshakes. I just missed. They were around when I was a kid. I'd love some Wendy's over here as well, by the way. Wouldn't say no to some Wendy's. Craig, I love how you love Darwin. I'd be selling him every day of the week. He's just isn't great technically. He's got a balloon touch and is offside 60% of the time. I'm not saying he's perfect, Muiz. I'm not. But what I'm saying to you is, mate, personally, and it is just my opinion, I've seen signs of stuff he's worked on. Look, he's frustrating at times with his finishing, but I just think he's able to bring something very, very unique, and his work rate and his defensive help as well has really impressed me since Diogo's been injured and he's been getting more opportunities. Arian said, Craig, surely Five Guys shakes are the best in the world. Oh, I wouldn't say best in the world. They're good. They're good. Now, I didn't actually we went to Five Guys in the end, by the way, the other day. But I didn't get a shake, so I can't say. Jobo said, we can't be paying the wages of players who are out for the portion of the time the odd is out. Given FSG are stingy, I'd rather see the money spent elsewhere. For me, it's not even about the wages. It's just about availability. If you have a group of 6 forwards and 2 or 3 of them are maybe suspect to injuries, you've got to start saying, we need to improve this. Because we can't constantly just have to revert back to 4 and have one option. I feel like, for me, and it is just for me, if we have to lose a forward, Diogo's the one that I'd be willing to sacrifice. But it's just my opinion. I'd love a Shake Shack in Ireland. Food's incredible. Is there not? Oh, Shake... Was that a Shake Shack in Dundrum or something? No? I've had Shake Shack in Florida, by the way. It is nice, as you've said. What was the other one I had in Florida that was interesting before? Sonic. Sonic was nice as well. Not the Hedgehog. Defo didn't need him, despite the character that I looked like running around after him. But yeah, it was nice when we had it over there. Justin said, so we are still in for Zubimendi. Well, there was a report today, mate, from, or maybe it wasn't today, but from Mark Ogden, that said a renewed move for Martin Zubimendi by Liverpool in January cannot be ruled out, with Arne Slot remaining a big admirer of the midfielder. And he did speak about Arsenal and Man City's interest as well. Bush Baptist said, my shakes are the best. No $5 shakes here. $7.50 shakes. Look, there's something... Do you know what? I'm a very simple man when it comes to milkshakes, by the way. It's strawberry all the way. Unless it's St. Paddy's week, in which case I'll happily have me a mint milkshake. But if I'm tiering milkshakes, it's strawberry, mint, banana. That's my 3 milkshake flavours. Potentially a bit of honeycomb in there, maybe. Simon Smith says, Nando's, and always Nando's. You know what, though? It's getting a bit expensive, Simon, for what it is. So what I've started to do, mate, is get the Nando's marinade. So I buy chicken fillets in the butcher's and marinade them in the Nando's marinade, throw them on my Tefal grill, and then get some flatbreads, cut them up, put them on the flatbreads, and make my own little Nando's kebabs. Kono said, but if we get Zubimendi, who's making it to the starting 11? So I think you're thinking too small there, mate, if I respectfully. Right now, we have Gravenberch, and I don't think anybody's suggesting that Gravenberch doesn't play. But he can play 65, 70 games a season. So we need to have somebody to rotate in for him. And also, sometimes Arne might want to play with 2 more deep-lying players, and maybe Gravenberch and Zubimendi could allow him to, let's say, get Gakpo and Diaz on in certain games. Or if we're away from home in Europe or something and he wants to be a bit more compact and control games a bit more, then maybe he plays both of them. But also I would say it would push the levels up of the midfielders at the club already. So for me, it's certainly not about wanting to replace Ryan Gravenberch with Zubimendi. It's more about just making sure that if something happened or if Gravenberch was suspended or picked up an injury, that we don't fall off a cliff, form-wise. Bush Baptist said Curtis is the lad. Oh, he's been brilliant. And do you know what? For England today, I thought he played very well. But for us, full credit to Jones this season, as I've said. He surprised me. He shut me up. And certainly is more than deserving of all the praise he's getting this year. Right, I'm going to check in on this poll now. We've had over 1,000 votes, so I can end it. So we said, is Trent going to stay at Liverpool? 54% of you guys said no, and 46% said he will stay. So from our little brief poll, slightly more than half of you guys in the chat feel that Trent is likely to depart. You know what? I put myself in that category as well, unfortunately. I don't like saying that, and I take no pleasure in saying that, but right now I feel like it's more likely. And I hope I'm wrong. Ty Carr said Zubi, Gravenberch with Maka further up, making those beautiful passes to our front three. Yeah, and it would also make sure that competition hopefully pushes up the levels in training. So yeah, for me, I think just better to have more options than not enough. Paul said, I have no faith in signings. Lack of signings for the past few years. FSG focus on efficiency far more than anybody else. Return on investment. Well, look, you're preaching to the choir, Paul. I haven't been very complimentary of FSG. In fact, I'll use what I always use. I think they're cheap. And I do also think that the fact that Arne Slot maybe is able to keep our lads fit a bit more and implement squad management a bit more than perhaps Jurgen was willing to was another factor in why FSG and our recruitment team looked towards him, as well as, of course, his great coaching prowess. But yeah, look, I'm always nervous, I mean, for me, Paul, right now, I think it's insanity that they're not running to get Mohamed Salah signed up. We seen a comparison last week about Mookie Betts, formerly of the Red Sox, who's gone on since he's left them and won 2 World Series because FSG didn't want to pay him the money. Now, I know that you can't compare the two sports, but we do have a similar kind of situation now where one of our star players, who's still doing it at the top level, wants to stay, but it feels like there's a pause over committing to the contract from our side, and it shouldn't be the case. Pay the man. It is, quite frankly, Paul, for me, mate, embarrassing that we are still sitting here talking about Virgil and Mohamed Salah when they are doing everything they can to say they want to stay. Get the things done. Like, how have we still not got a goddamn contract sorted? We're no closer, it seems, to these 3 contracts being sorted out than we were in the summer, than we were before the summer. It has to be done. Like, Trent and Mo weren't on international duty, so I'm hoping that we've been really working hard over this last week to get it done. But quite frankly, I think the whole thing is a piss take. And I think it's putting at risk a great future and a great season with an unnecessary distraction. Are the international games over? Not fully, no. There's still a couple more to come. So the England team over, Ireland team over. But there's a few more games to come tomorrow. But in the main, after the next day or so, yeah, they're all done and the lads will start being back. Corin said, I smell a Christmas Eve contract announcement for VVD and Mo. Look, I'm okay with that on one condition, Corin, that the rest of the team know. Because I don't like the idea of the team feeling like this contract situation is still hanging over their heads and not knowing. Because also, going into the January market, these players coming in might want to know, is Virg still going to be around? Is Salah still going to be around? Is Trent still going to be around? So, it also speaks to if we see these guys leaving the club, then players coming in might be asking, why are they leaving the club? Is there something there that's making them leave? I just don't think it's a good look for us. So Southampton is this weekend, right? Yep, 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock next Sunday, mate. We're not screwed. We have players on our under 18 squad that most Premier League teams would have in their starting lineup. We have some good young players coming through, absolutely. But we also want to make sure we win now, and Virgil and Mo give us the best chance of winning now and winning next year. These players you're speaking about, I'm as excited about them as you are, but they are the future of the club. So I don't think a 2-year extension for Mo and Virgil is going to put that at risk. Muiz said, if we beat City in 2 weeks, what is your percentage of us winning the league? You don't want my answer because it will annoy a lot of people. But I'm going to give it to you anyway, bro. If we beat Manchester City and we open up an 8-point gap over them and a 9-point gap over Arsenal, I will not accept anything other than winning the league. We have to win the league. You cannot open up that 8-point gap having played both of them once and not win the league. So I'm saying if we beat Manchester City, we're winning the league. If we lose to them, we're not winning the league. Or I'm not saying we won't win the league, but if we beat them, for what it's worth, you asked, so I'm going to tell you, I'm thinking we're goddamn winning the league, mate. And I'm going to be very upfront about that. So Anfield Edition have put out something from cm.com that said Liverpool very much like AC Milan winger Christian Pulisic. Yeah, we've been down this road. We had the chance to sign Pulisic many times, so I'm not going to put much faith in that one. And Mark, when he sent it to me, feels it belongs on Bullshit Island anyway. Edward Corbett said, respecting referees is a valid goal. However, the way the PGMOL has been managing refereeing in the last few years, regardless of coup, has absolutely undermined it. Idiots. Edward, spot on, mate. Well said. I agree. I'm all for respecting referees, and I do believe that it should be taught from the second young kids get on a football pitch, and it should be followed all the way through. 100% agree with you. I do. But again, I don't feel like what the broadcasters have done and, the introduction of VAR and all the microscope that comes on top of these officials, when we're still seeing blatantly stupid decisions, it's undermining them. And I do feel like they need to clean house a bit, because it feels to me like there's a culture of ambivalence to getting caught. Again, I'm going to ask, how did Koo feel so comfortable having his behaviour recorded and to discuss this openly with other officials? If that doesn't speak to a culture of not fearing the fucking consequences, they can tell us all we're mad. But I think the world needs to wake. There's going to be a goddamn reckoning, because people are sick of being told that what we're seeing, hearing with our own eyes and ears is not reality. People are fed up with it, mate. And I am absolutely sick to the goddamn teeth with us fans being scapegoated for everything. We don't want to know referees' names. We didn't ask for VAR to be brought in. We didn't ask for this bullshit threshold of clear and obvious. We didn't ask for these clowns to admit not doing their job. Because let's just look at what's happened. Mike Dean came out and said openly, I did not send my mate Anthony Taylor to the monitor when Cucurella was having his hair pulled because I didn't want him to get grief. And what do Sky, the bastions of morality that they are, do? Give this man a goddamn job. Reward him and bring him on as the voice of referees on Sky. After telling us all that he didn't do what he was employed to do. That he didn't give a damn about doing the right thing, because not putting his mate under the microscope was more important to Mike Dean at that moment than doing his fucking job. That is disgusting. So to have Sky give him a job, I think is 2 fingers up to football fans. Now, on top of that, they brought in Ref Watch, where every goddamn Monday we have to listen to Dermot Gallagher doing mental gymnastic explaining why he's backing up these referees every week. Very occasionally he'll say somebody gets something wrong. But none of us care. I don't give a shit what Gallagher says, because I'm around football long enough to know what I'm seeing with my own eyes and make my own mind up. So they need to take responsibility for this as well, rather than speaking about respecting referees and blah-de-blah-de-blah. You're putting them in the position. What do you think about a Salah contract? Give it to him. He's earned it. You know? You don't give... I want 2 years, personally. I feel comfortable with 2 years on top of the rest of this season, but ultimately, I just don't see an argument for not renewing him. I don't. Mary Nelson says, some of the refs on the other video are in serious trouble in their home life. Look, there's a lot more stuff that I've seen, been told about, that I could speak about with referees, but I have to be legally careful. So I'm not going to say stuff that hasn't been out into the world yet, because it's not my place to do it. But if anybody thinks that there isn't questions to be asked of the structure of the PGMOL, there is. There is. And stop trying to tell us all we're lunatics. Stop trying to undermine us. Stop trying to tell the fans that they're wrong over and over again. Because referees aren't squeaky clean, all of them. Yes, their job's difficult. But the way they go on, you think they were all saints. And to even question that maybe they have a dislike, or that dislike has maybe influenced decisions, that's human nature. They're trying to tell us that referees are beyond human nature. It's fucking infuriating to sit back and watch. One of the refs you speak of drinks in my local golf club, and after a few free Johnny Walkers he starts talking. Again, I've heard of referees going and doing after dinner speaking and stuff, and speaking about managers that they don't like, and you know, some of them have. Some of them are arrogant. Some of them feel like they're way more important than they actually are. Like Coote saying to this guy, his friend, who reported to say that he's above championship games. You know, he shouldn't be getting championship games. He's too big for championship games. You do what you're fucking told. You know, these lads aren't the stars. The stars are the players, the coaches, the ones that make the game beautiful. These lads are there to just make sure that the game goes along, incident-free where possible. Benedict said, I think Trent will sign because it's his boyhood club and we're in a great position. If I was him, I would stay. Real Madrid don't have their team gelled yet. So I guess my question, Benedict, mate, would be, why hasn't he signed? Because I agree with you, by the way. I don't disagree. Like, he should stay. It's the right decision to stay. But I also believe that if Trent told Liverpool he wanted to stay and that he's not interested in leaving, that it would be, I believe it would be sorted out very quickly, because they'd come to a compromise on a number and it'd be done. So my worry is, why haven't we heard that? Because we've heard Mohamed Salah say he wants to stay. We've heard Virgil say he wants to stay. Not heard it from Trent. And why is Trent posting a picture with Xabi Alonso with no caption? What purpose is that going to serve, other than to feed into the rumour that Alonso's off to Madrid and that Trent might want to go and join him? So Trent knew what he did when he posted that. Be under no disillusion or mistake about it. He knew. He knew what he did. If he had posted that way, lovely to see Alonso again at Anfield. What a legend of the game he is. Look up to him and admire him. People would have gone, yeah, can get that, of course. He is. But to post it with no caption? Go find on his Instagram pictures of him with Arne Slot, because I believe they don't exist. I find it all weird. You know, and look, maybe it is trying to, you know, manipulate the situation in his favour. Fine. But I've yet to hear the words, I want to stay at Liverpool Football Club. Why would I want to leave, from Trent's mouth? And I don't know why. You know, if you want to leave, leave. Come out and say you're going to leave. But I don't think stringing anybody along will work out well. If Trent comes out and says, look, I've loved my time at this club, but I want a new chapter in my career. I want to try playing abroad. Honestly, we'd be disappointed. Some people heartbroken, but we'd respect where he's coming from. And we'd respect his honesty. Because remember the Jordan Henderson situation. Remember Hendo tried to come out with this absolute codswallop of growing the game bullshit. When we all knew why he wanted to go. And it was money. But we were told that wasn't it. Because again, we're all idiots, right? We can possibly think, I want to go grow the game. You do in your hole want to go and grow the game. So again with Trent, I would say, be honest. Just come out and say, look, I want to go. I want to go, and we'd go, fair enough, mate. We may still think it's the wrong decision. But I don't want it to get toxic on him. I really don't want that for Trent. Stephen Landry said, I'm sick of the Trent drama. VVD and Salah are far more important to this team. And by the way, Jude Bellingham, his attitude is fucking shocking. Like, the way he speaks to officials. Said it's bollocks tonight after he got a yellow card. Like, he has an attitude problem with referees on the pitch. And somebody needs to give his head a wobble. Because he's an incredible footballer. And he's got the world at his feet. But he can't be buying into this arrogant Real Madrid-esque entitlement. Like, that's not right. Like, he's a great footballer. This weird sense of arrogance and entitlement, it doesn't sit well. Andy Warstad said, I don't think Trent has made up his mind yet. My guess is he wants to see what Madrid is offering and then make the decision. Then he's gone, Andy. You know, if you're contemplating what they want to offer, you're gone. Let's be honest about it, mate. If you're thinking about it, you're gone. Because you shouldn't need to think about staying at a club that you love, that you grew up supporting, that you want to be captain of, that's going to potentially win more trophies. You shouldn't need to be talked into that. So if he wants to hear what Real Madrid have to say, his mind's on the way out the door. In my opinion, anyway. IFI must say, Craig, do you think Trent has learned from Klopp after Klopp announcing he was leaving early on? But Trent hasn't, because Trent hasn't announced anything. Like, I've tried to be really fair about this whole situation and said, I understood when Klopp said he was leaving why Trent wanted to take a breath and see what was next. See what the coach was. See what the coach was like in the training ground. See if we'd be competitive. See if the club was going in the right direction. I don't really feel like there's many of those questions left to answer now. Now it just really feels like, to me, it's what Trent wants to do, whether it's stay or go. And that, I think, if you're thinking about these things, you've got one foot out the door in my mind. Tanya said, we didn't sell Salah to Saudi for 150 million. We need to keep him at all expenses. He's world class and my kids know it. Exactly. And he wants to be here, Tanya. You know, you get the feeling with Mo, he wants to just cement this legacy at the club, in the Premier League. And he wants to be here. You know, look at the last goal he scored for us, where he's sitting on the advertising hoarding, soaking it all in, enjoying it. Because he knows he's loved. So again, I agree with you 100%, Tanya. He should be kept at all costs, and I still don't understand how it hasn't been done. Damon J said Trent's not a 300k player, sadly. Again, my friend, I agree. Now look, Damon, if Liverpool give Trent that contract and he stays, you won't hear one word of me complaining about it, because ultimately I do want Trent to stay. But like you, sir, I agree, I don't think he's worth 300,000 a week. Is Kerkez a step up from Robbo and Tsimikas? Well, it's difficult to say entirely because he's 21, so he's not the finished product. But he's certainly piquing enough interest from enough top clubs that the guy must have enough about him to have these clubs chasing him. So, who knows? But I think I can understand that link, is what I would say. Mark said, I've looked at Trent's following. He's not following Liverpool. Not saying he's unfollowed them, but I'm also not denying it. Because I did see somebody in the chat a moment ago say, where's this? A few people said apparently he's unfollowed Liverpool on Twitter. So again, I'm not on Twitter, so I don't know who Trent follows or doesn't follow. But as Mark has said, Mark's looked at Trent's following list and Liverpool aren't on it. Daniel said, I just checked, and he does. Damon said, LFC transfer room tweeting interesting Kerkez statement. Okay, let me see. One sec. So, I've got something here that Dave O.C. Cop posted. Said, Mohamed Salah, speaking at a book event today in the United Arab Emirates, said, in life, nothing comes easy. One needs to have discipline and consistency to achieve his dreams. One needs to navigate through the intense pressures of elite sport and life and things with calmness. Not every day on the field is your best day. Sometimes the performance is not up to the mark. Then the fear of pressure creeps in. Here, reading shapes you. The more you read, the more your self-confidence builds up. It's reading that ultimately contributed to the development of myself as a player. We, at the club, read about optimal training regimes, nutritional guidelines, and the importance of developing healthy habits. Those good reads are important for everyone, not just sports persons. Again, just an incredible role model as a man. Steve Aldersley, thank you, sir, for gifting a membership. Appreciate you. Anything Liverpool posted from Orkan Koku, former player of Arne Slot, who said, he may be the player I am today. He is the best coach in the world. Love that. I love hearing people praise our manager, by the way, so keep it coming. Right, look, I need you to hit that like button for me, ladies and gentlemen. We're at 491. We can get that up above 500. So, on that, just a couple of things before I finish up. One, a reminder, tomorrow at 6 p.m, myself and Lee are going to be live for the first episode of the Red Mist podcast. Search that on YouTube and give it a sub if you haven't, and make sure your notifications are turned on. This is going to be our first one, and then after the international break, we'll be doing it twice a week. So keep an eye out for that tomorrow. Also, our Clips channel has just hit 35,000 subscribers, so thank you to everybody on that. If you haven't subscribed to it yet, there is a link pinned to the top of the chat right now, or just search Anfield Agenda Clips. You'll know it's the right one. It's the reverse of our logo, so instead of being red and white, it's white and red. David said, I think at this point Trent's stalling is affecting the other deals for VVD and Salah because he's wanting too much money. Let him go. Let's worry about the other two. Andy said, I agree on that, mate. I just guess that his entourage thinking, get all the numbers on the table before making a decision from a business side. I think it's 60-40 him leaving. Yeah, I'm same as you with regards to the percentages, Andy. Does anyone in the chat honestly know if Kerkez is better than what we've already got? So, as I've said to you, mate, the club wouldn't be pursuing somebody if they didn't think that they have a high ceiling. And at 21, he probably wouldn't be the polished, finished article yet. But again, I can only say that if the manager wants him, that's what I want as well, because I believe in Slot's decision making. Do I think Costas is finished? No, I just never thought, Joe, that he was the right long-term successor for Andy Robertson. I think he's done admirably this season under Arne, certainly an improvement, but I would say, I don't see him being our number one left back for years to come. Just my opinion. Right, so I'm going to say goodnight to you all. Again, thank you for joining me. There'll be a video out in the morning. Myself and Lee then on the Red Mist podcast at 6, and of course I'll be here at 8:45 tomorrow night as well. Appreciate you guys for dropping in. I really do. And yeah, thank you. Appreciate you all. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.